Welcome to the mystical world of Aldoria, a land steeped in ancient magic, soaring mountains, and hidden secrets waiting to be unearthed. Nestled between vast enchanted woodlands and towering mist-laden peaks lies the kingdom of Aldoria, where peace once reigned under the protection of a wise and noble king. But darkness stirs in these lands. For ages, the people of Aldoria lived in harmony, drawing strength from the natural magic that flows through their forests and rivers. Now, however, the peace is threatened by a formidable force, the shadow of Malakar, an ancient dragon wielding sinister powers that cast darkness upon the land. Villages lie in ruin, rivers run dry, and the very heart of Aldoria trembles as whispers of Malakar's return spread. Yet there is hope. In the quiet village of Loonbrook, a young herbalist named Alara Brightspark discovers her hidden gift, a connection to the natural magic of Aldoria. With the guidance of her loyal companions, Thorn Ironfoot, the dwarven warrior, Lyra Swiftwind, the elven archer, and Finn Emberhand, the clever rogue, Alara embarks on a journey to uncover the secrets of Aldoria's past and restore the balance of magic in her land. But Alara's journey will not be an easy one, for she must face not only the might of Malakar, but also the enigmatic sorcerer, Kale Stormrider, whose motives are as mysterious as the ancient magic he wields. In a world where allies can quickly become foes and shadow and light are often one and the same, Alara must embrace her destiny, confront her fears, and unveil the courage hidden within. And so, the tale begins, an adventure filled with bravery, treachery, and a spark of hope that may just be enough to defeat the darkness. Chapter 1. Introduce the protagonist, their homeland, and the quest. Alara moved through the dew-kissed leaves of her herbal garden in Loonbrook, fingers brushing the delicate stems as if they were old friends. The garden, thriving with fragrant rosemary, vibrant purple foxglove, and clusters of sage, held more than just plants. It was a sanctuary, a place where her heart felt most at ease. Each plant seemed to hum faintly in response to her touch, a resonance too soft for others to notice, but as familiar to her as her own breath. She had always known that she held a special bond with nature, a sensitivity woven into her very being, though she rarely spoke of it. Here, surrounded by the gentle, grounding energy of the earth, she felt complete, connected, and at peace. As the village healer, her days were spent creating salves, teas, and remedies for the villagers. She loved the simple, steady rhythm of her life. Each morning she awoke with the sun, greeted her plants, and prepared what her people might need. And yet, there was something more beneath the surface, a faint flicker of something unnameable. Sometimes when her mind was still, she felt the forest itself reaching back, like a vast presence surrounding her, ancient and alive. A rustle interrupted her thoughts, and Alara turned to see Marin, the village watchman, stumbling into her garden. His face was pale, eyes darting from shadow to shadow, as if fearing what might lurk within them. His normally stoic demeanor was nowhere to be seen. Alara, his voice was rough, barely more than a whisper. I saw something in the woods, something dark. He looked at her with a mixture of fear and desperation. Alara straightened, sensing the unease radiating from him. Tell me what happened, Marin. What did you see? Marin swallowed hard, as if trying to wash away the memory before speaking. I was patrolling near the edge of the forest, just where the sunlight fades, and I saw a shadow. But it wasn't just a shadow, Alara. It moved, like it was alive, like it was watching me. He shuddered, clenching his fists. I swear it looked back at me, as if it knew I was there. Then it disappeared, slipping between the trees, leaving everything deathly still. A chill crept along Ilara's spine. She had heard stories of strange sightings, but nothing like this, nothing that filled the air with such foreboding. "Thank you, Marin," she said, her voice steady even as her pulse quickened. "I'll see if I can find anything. Go home and rest." Marin nodded, clearly relieved, and hurried away, leaving Ilara alone with the weight of his words. She took a deep breath, her gaze drifting toward the forest's edge, where the ancient trees stood like sentinels, silent and watchful. Her instincts stirred, tugging her toward the unknown. Despite the growing darkness within her, she felt an undeniable urge to investigate. Steeling herself, she moved to the edge of the village and stepped into the cool shade of the forest. The air felt different here, charged, as if the usual harmony had been disrupted. An unnatural stillness had settled over the trees, and Ilara sensed a faint pulse beneath the ground, like a heartbeat, slow and dark, reverberating through the earth itself. Kneeling, she placed her hand on the forest floor, feeling the cool soil against her skin. Instantly, a chill surged through her, and her mind filled with a name, whispered like a long-forgotten secret. Malachar. The name echoed within her, bringing with it a vision of a great dark form, a dragon with scales as black as midnight and eyes that glowed with ancient malice. A wave of dread washed over her, leaving her breathless. She knew, without understanding why, that this was no ordinary threat. The very essence of the forest seemed to recoil from it. Her heart pounded as she rose to her feet, her fingers tingling with the aftershock of the vision. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, a warning from the land itself. Ilara gazed back toward Loonbrook, knowing the people she had healed, the friends she had grown with, were unaware of the darkness stirring beneath their feet. Steadying herself, she whispered to the silent forest, "If this Malachar truly exists, I must be ready." The weight of her decision settled upon her as she turned back to her garden. There, amid the familiar comfort of her plants, Ilara began to gather supplies, her thoughts a whirlwind of herbs, incantations, and a future she had never anticipated. She knew that by nightfall, her quiet life as the village healer would be forever changed. The journey ahead was unknown, but the call was clear. She would do whatever it took to protect her village and the land she loved. As the last rays of daylight slipped behind the trees, Ilara returned to her small home, her arms laden with herbs, bandages, and the few enchanted tools she kept for rare cases. She laid them out on the table, fingers tracing each item, anchoring her mind on the practical task of preparing. But the shadow of Malachar lingered, its dark presence looming like a storm on the horizon. She felt the night pressing in, each whisper of wind and rustle of leaves filling her with a sense of urgency. Her mind raced, piecing together every bit of knowledge she'd gleaned over the years about the dark forces rumored to dwell in the lands beyond. Most were merely stories, tales shared by traders and travelers that vanished with the morning sun. But this felt different, raw, tangible. She could still feel the pulse beneath her hand, the ominous name etched in her thoughts. As she prepared, there was a knock at her door. She opened it to find Lyra Swiftwind, the elven archer, standing silently with a knowing look in her eye. "Ilara," Lyra said softly, her gaze intense. "I felt something, a disturbance in the woods. The forest told me there was darkness gathering." She glanced over Alara's shoulder at the herbs and tools on the table, a faint smile tugging at her lips. It seems I wasn't the only one who sensed it. Alara nodded, relief mingling with gratitude. You're right, Lyra. There's something out there. Malachar. The name came to me like a warning. Her voice grew steadier as she continued, fueled by her certainty. If he is what I think he is, he could be a danger to all of Aldoria. I can't ignore it. I have to go beyond the village and find out what we're facing. Lyra's expression shifted, her eyes filled with both worry and admiration. Then you won't go alone. Darkness such as this cannot be faced by one person. She glanced toward the forest, her voice barely a whisper. I will join you. We'll need each other's strength, Alara. The two women shared a silent understanding, each acknowledging the other's resolve. The danger was vast and unknown, but so was the strength they felt rising within them. Just as Alara was about to speak, she noticed a sturdy, bearded figure approaching in the dim light. Thorn Ironfoot, the stout dwarf warrior, carried his massive axe with ease, his usual gruff expression softened by a spark of determination. I heard the whispers, Thorn said, his voice a low rumble. Word travels fast among those who care for this village. If there's a dark force out there, I'd be a fool to let you two face it alone. Besides, he added, his eyes twinkling, I've got some scores to settle with anything that calls itself darkness. With a grateful smile, Alara gestured them both inside, feeling the first stirrings of hope. She began explaining everything she had sensed, every detail that might help them understand the threat ahead. The hours slipped by as the trio planned, each bringing their knowledge to the table. Lyra's affinity for the forest, Thorn's unwavering strength, and Alara's bond with nature's magic. When dawn began to creep over the horizon, Alara's preparations were complete. She stood in the soft morning light, watching her village with a sense of longing mixed with resolve. She knew that this might be the last time she saw Loonbrook as it was, quiet, untouched, and safe. Taking a deep breath, she fastened her satchel and tightened her cloak around her shoulders. Lyra and Thorn joined her, each equipped and ready, eyes sharp with purpose. Together they walked to the edge of the village, their steps quiet yet filled with intent. Beyond them lay the unknown. Dark woods, shifting shadows, and a mysterious name that clung to the silence like fog. With one final look back, Alara turned toward the forest, feeling the pulse of dark energy that had summoned her here. The journey had begun, and with it, her quiet life had come to an end, to be continued.